see. All right.
Ready, set, go. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thanks for joining. I'm Sonny Aguilera, American Pacific Mortgage. I want to welcome you to our first official for 2024 homebuyer seminar for all of our Keller Williams family in the Valley area. Thank you, agents, for joining, and hopefully you shared it with some of your clients who want to get some information regarding down payment assistance, how credit works, and just how becoming a homeowner works in general. So do appreciate your time, and we'll try to explain things as best as possible. If you can't hear me, let us know. I'll speak up, hit the chat button. Any questions, we will go through them as we can or answer them when we're done. So with that being said, let's get started. The first slide. Yeah, that's me. Unfortunately, most of you see that big head of mine on the side of the freeway on 99. I'm sorry. I hope it didn't cause any stress or you suffer from PTSD. But yeah, today. Right. Oh, poor guy. But just a little bit tidbit on me. If you don't know, I've been doing this for about 30 years now. Yes, I'm that old. We are located here in Brookside, about a block and a half away from you guys. Actually, we're in Stockton today, so just letting you guys know. Sorry you couldn't make it. Wish you were here. All right, American Pacific Mortgage. This is my second stint with APM. I was a manager there for 6 years, from 2008 to 2004. We rejoined APM back in 2022, the end of 2022, and very excited to be back with them. The company's always been great. One thing about the company I will say is that when you go back to work for somebody after being gone for 8 years and almost every person from the home office is still there, that says something about that place. You know, people don't leave this company, especially people that work in corporate, which is a good thing. So everybody is very welcoming, and it's been a good transition since we've been back. But you know, one of our main focuses at APM, and one of the real reasons why I was really happy to go back, is their commitment to home buyers and home ownership. Whether it's the programs they offer, the incentives they give, or the flexibility they give us, they allow us to do what we need to do to help people get into homes. So for that, we were very grateful as a team. You know, with us, we have a multitude of programs that help first-time home buyers. We lend outside the box. We look at different angles and avenues in which we can help people obtain home ownership the right way. And, you know, we have a lot of happy clients as a result. So, you know, we're very confident in what we do. The fact that we have the ability to lend in-house, to broker, to offer a multitude of assistance programs, not just, you know, your regular ones, but even one we just found out about last week that we had. We're going to talk about that today as well. So, you know, we're always evolving to try to help, you know, our realtor partners and our other loan officers to be prepared to navigate the waters of lending and give the best options we can for your clients and our clients too. You know, our agenda, who we are and what we do. Well, you know, we're a full service lender. We offer a multitude of products: down payment assistance, home equity lines of credit, personal finance loans, construction loans, bridge loans. That anything that you need in terms of financing options for your clients, we are definitely here to help. You know, we want to talk about buying versus renting, what a loan payment looks like, different types of loans, qualifying for a loan, which is very important, especially in these times, the loan process itself, and what's next. Okay, well, we are not Jane Smith and we are not John Smith. So, you know, when choosing a lender, it's very important, you know, and if you as an agent or you as a client, you know, when you talk to your lender, you should ask them questions, you know, things like, you know, where are you located? How long have you been doing this? You know, do you work by yourself? Do you have a team that supports you? You know, having an experienced lender is invaluable. You know, with so many things going on in the market in terms of how Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac look at income, for example. You know, with certain nuances of buying in Stockton, like, for example, if you're buying a house on 3200 block of Christina Avenue, you know, an experienced lender knows you're going to have higher taxes and you're going to have flood insurance. And things like that make a difference when it comes to your buyers, because if your client, for example, that's looking at that house in Christina has a $400,000 maximum approval amount and you're buying that house at $400,000, you're going to have some problems. People like us know this. So We're able to help curtail your client's pain in terms of maybe not getting the house they want, but helping them also understand that a place like that, you can only afford this much. So experience when it comes to home buying is what really counts. And we really take that pridefully when we try to help people and use our experience to educate you, to explain to you, what you're getting, whether it's the initial consultation, whether it's via Zoom. We send not only an approval letter, but we also send breakdowns, and we also send you options that you have so you can see the different cost variances between the programs that we offer, that you can see what your total payment's going to be, that you can see what your out-of-pocket's going to be, so you understand this before you get into contract. So, this is all very important prior to you looking with your agent or showing your clients homes, because the last thing you want to do is waste anybody's time and anybody's money. Now, in many cases, you have options. There are plenty of lenders out there. There are some good ones. There's some not so good ones. We like to think we're very good at what we do. The one good thing about us is our flexibility. We are a mortgage bank. American Pacific is an actual lender, but we also have broker channels and broker resources that also help us in cases where the loan doesn't necessarily meet our guidelines, or maybe we don't offer a product that this other brokerage house does. We still have the flexibility and the nimbleness to be able to move a loan to somebody that offers a product that we don't. How long have you been in business? Yes, 30 years is a long time. So, I'd like to think our reputation is fairly good. And, the one thing that I can say is that we pretty much turn over every rock we can to help people. We get in the trenches with you. Sometimes doing a loan and helping someone buy a house is like a 12-round boxing match. You're dragging it out, you're grinding it out to the very end. But we're not afraid to roll up our sleeves and go to battle for your clients or for yourself. That's what we do. We're here to help you, and that's the main thing. And that's why we take a lot of pride in this, and we take this very seriously, because this is our livelihood. But we know how much of our professionalism and our focus and our determination makes a difference in people's lives. The one good thing we are big on is communication. So whether it's me personally, whether it's someone from our team, there is always someone there that can communicate with you, that can text you, that can email you, that can provide you updates, that can answer your questions. We have a multitude of people, from even upper management to our assistants to some of our other loan officers, that can step in and pick up the slack. If somebody needs something urgently, whether it's going to pick up documents from a client or answering questions via text at 9 p.m., that's me all the time. We're here to help you. So that, having communication and having, the ability to reach out and have people respond to you is very important. We work with anybody. So, our biggest thing is communication. And as long as we communicate together and work as a team, we are very happy. You will find that what we do is very team orientated. Getting people into homes requires commitment and communication from everybody, from the buyers and sellers, of course, from the agents, the realtors, and ourselves, the lender. So we really revel the fact that we communicate in a group environment, group text, group emails. We try to include you. We try to include all parties in every facet of communication, because we don't want there to be any misstep or anything being misconstrued. That's very important, because it can't happen. We're professionals. We know what we're saying, but maybe you as clients don't, or maybe you as being a newer realtor maybe don't understand it. So if there's things you don't understand, don't be afraid to ask questions. The worst question you can ask is the one you don't ask. Okay, that usually ends up being the most important one. So with us, it's always ask questions, put them in a group text, send them in an email, label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll make sure to respond accordingly. So that way you always have something to reference to. Will they close your loan in a timely manner? Yes, we have the ability to do so many times early. But as long as we have all participants involved, the agents, the buyers, escrow, and the homeowners association, if there are any, yes, closing on time is something we do quite frequently. Now, as you can see, we have a side-by-side here. what is a mortgage banker? What is a mortgage broker? Explains the positive and negatives of both. As you can see, as a banker, we control a transaction much better. We can still offer competitive rates, and we have a superior appraisal process. Now, I will tell you that our appraisal panel is very experienced. We not necessarily pick and choose who we get, but we do make recommendations to our AMCs who we've worked with in the past, who we know are experienced appraisers and who work in this area. So we don't want an Oakland appraiser coming to Stockton to do an appraisal report. So having the ability to, work closely with the community appraiser is extremely important. They understand the neighborhoods, they understand the areas, and that's one of the reasons why us as a banker, we love to order our own appraisals. Because trust me, I'm not going to say the name of some of the place we broker to, but I haven't yet to know any of the appraisals that I've seen from any of their appraisers. So I've done this a long time, so yeah, so we definitely are very proud of the appraisals we work with. Stand by. One of the negatives is that, our programs are limited to an investor pool, but again, because we have the flexibility to broker, we don't have a problem going outside of our, internal investor pool to help your clients or help yourself. As a bank, we fund your own loans. We make our own decisions based on customer value, and we approve our loans internally. We draw our own docs, and we fund our own loans. Control is a huge facet of this business. So as a mortgage banker, having the ability to control the processes is huge. Before our meeting started, I was on the phone with the Keller Williams agent who I told him, you know what, I really can't believe we got this client to this point. I'm really surprised that our underwriter signed off what they signed off because we had a lot of gaps in our process with the client. He couldn't provide some documentation that we really needed, but we were able to get the exception done. And I'm very proud to say that this client's going to get his house in about 10 days. So just two minor conditions, but the fact that we didn't let our doubt lead us. We let our beliefs and the fact that we're gonna give it our best effort, and we're gonna put all of our time and effort and detail into it to try to get it to work. The fact that it did says huge volume. So we're really proud about that, and that's something that you'll get from us when you work with us. Some of the negatives is that we have more stringent guidelines. Well, banks do, as a matter of fact, but that's true. B of A, Chase, they do have their own guidelines. They conservative appraisals, yes. There are a number of banks that have sent us deals because their appraisals came in low, especially when refinances are very popular. Banks offer a limited choice of programs and rates in and out of the market. So, sometimes their rates fluctuate even when the market doesn't. So as a mortgage broker, you have accessibility to multiple programs, which that allows us our flexibility to do so, access to multiple rate options, various property types, which yes, because we do offer mobile home financing, for example, but that is something we don't do internally as a mortgage banker. We do have to broker it out. But some of the negatives, you do lack control. You can't order a CD the way you normally want to sometimes because, say, Upstart Mortgage has their own rules and they want everything signed off before they issue that CD, and that can delay your process. So, that's one of the negatives of possibly dealing with a broker. Inconsistent communication, we deal with that too. And, underwriting is sometimes sketchy. You don't get the same underwriter. Some underwriters are nice, some aren't. Sometimes it's a battle. So, when we broker loans, sometimes it is a crapshoot. Choosing a real estate agent, well, I'd like to think that all the agents that are on this call are very, very in tune with what they do. They're at Keller Williams for a reason, and we believe in the mission that Keller presents, and that's why we're here as well. But choosing an agent is important. Do they serve the area you're interested in? One of the things I will tell you that I do a lot of work, not just in the Valley, but also in the Bay Area. So when I get Bay Area clients, I am very particular about sending them to clients that know the area. I'm not going to send a Stockton agent to show somebody a house in San Francisco because they just don't know the area. And it's not a good look of confidence from your buyer who lives in the city that wants to look at a place in the city, getting an agent from Stockton area, for example. So it is very important that your agents know their locale and that they're from there. Do they work as a larger part of the team? Well, I know that the Keller model is very team oriented, so that's a good thing because it gives the clients flexibility to know that there's more than one person that they can deal with and that can help them. How long have they been in business? That's very important as well. But sometimes, newer agents don't look down on them either because they're very motivated and they have very experienced team helping them as well. And the one key that I know with Keller is that they communicate very well. So you're dealing with the Keller, you don't have to worry about communication because they're very good at that. And of course, the partnership we have with Keller Williams, we will work together and jointly on your behalf. Now, many people have this phobia about buying. They think that renting's better because, well, my mortgage payment is going to be higher than my rents, things like that. But the one thing about buying that you can't do renting, you can't not deduct it on your taxes. So owning a home, there are a multitude of tax deductions that'll help you. The benefit of buying, your property investment earns equity over time. When you rent, you don't earn any equity. So for example, you're paying somebody $2,000 a month in rent and you've been paying that for the last 5 years. Well, guess what? You've been paying that person $120,000 worth of rent payments, as opposed to house you could have bought 5 years ago. Your mortgage payment probably be about $2,000 now, and you probably gained about $100,000 in equity. That's like a $220,000 swing. That's money in your pocket that you're just letting go every month by renting. When you buy, you control your improvements of your property. You can do anything you want. You can redo the bathroom, you can redo the kitchen, you can build a deck. You don't have to get approval from the landlord. Plus, the other thing too is when you make improvements to your landlord's property, you're only bringing up the value of his property. So you're spending money to make your house look good, but you don't reap the benefits of the improvements because it's not your home. And of course, pride of ownership. Now, this is what a mortgage payment looks like. Okay. Now, this assumes that, there's no PMI. It's a 20% down mortgage. Okay. But you have principal and interest. Okay. That's what you're paying every month towards your mortgage or actual mortgage itself. If you elect to pay them, you have your property taxes included and your homeowner's insurance included. Okay. It could be PMI. But generally, the insurance portion of it is hazard homeowners insurance / private mortgage insurance / association dues, if applicable. But this is what a total payment breakdown looks like. Okay. Now, about PMI. Generally, it's not assessed on a conventional loan with 20% down. Okay. However, there are options, especially for you as a buyer who has really good credit, or if your buyers have really good credit, to get no PMI loans with 5, 10, or even 15% down. Ask us about it. We can calculate that for your client as well. And we do offer it a lot when we have clients who we know have very good credit, who we would consider very credit worthy, and they have a strong file. We also give them the option to buy out their PMI, so that way they never have to pay for the life of the loan. And you'll be surprised. There are a lot of clients who are very taken back by the fact that they can put 10% down on the loan and not have to pay PMI. But giving them options is very important, and that's why we do it. So conventional loans. Right now, the new conventional loan limit for our area here in the Valley is $766,550. And there are many programs that will allow you to put as little as 3% down on a conventional loan. This is for single family condos and PUDs. This also includes manufactured homes. There are government sponsored loan programs, FHA, VA, and USDA. USDA is not for every city. Lathrop, Escalon, Ripon, what's that other place? Lockford also is USDA eligible. Had to think of that one. I was thinking of the meat company, but USDA is a little bit more stringent. I will tell you that of all the loans available, FHA offers the most flexibility. VA is a good loan to have, especially if you have a veteran who is retired, because VA's debt income ratio limit I've seen go as high as 66% of a retiree's income. So, that's really good because most debt ratio limits stop at about 50 to 55%. So if you have retired borrowers in VA and they have really good credit, just know that, they've got some wiggle room to push the loan amount higher than normal. And conforming versus jumbo, anything over $766,500 in our area is considered a jumbo loan. So there is jumbo financing available. I will tell you that jumbo financing is a lot stricter than conventional FHA, VA, or USDA. The main thing with jumbo is this: you have lower debt to get the best rates, to get the best jumbo rates. You have to have a very low debt to income ratio, and you have to have reserves. Generally, 12 to 24 months reserves is the rule of thumb, but the more reserves you have, the better. And first-time home buyer, we're going to talk about some of the programs, but we offer a multitude of programs, whether it's federal-based, state-based, or even county-based. And many of the programs, you do not have to be a first-time home buyer. We will talk about those, but again, we do offer a multitude of programs. I'm certified in a number of them, and we use them a lot. Probably about 2/3 of every purchase we do has some sort of down payment assistance program associated with it. So we do not shy away of helping the first-time homeowner. It is it's what we take pride in, is, helping people who've never owned a home before, or who never thought they could and thought they had to save 20%, to show them, hey, your $10,000 works. Let's get you in the contract now. And people are shocked when they close with only 10 grand. So, we'll talk about these programs in a little bit, but there's plenty of them out there. Now, fixed rate loans means the payment never changes, okay? Your principal and interest payment never changes. Be advised that your property taxes and your home insurance can increase or decrease over time. So if you do pay your mortgage payments with taxes and insurance, be advised that that payment can change, okay? But your actual mortgage payment, your monthly mortgage payment, when it says it's a fixed rate, it never will change. Now, adjustable rates, they're a little trickier. You do have to have the stomach to be able to manage the ebb and flow and the up and downs of them. So most people don't want to deal with adjustable rates, but depending on the market and depending on your situation too, there are adjustable rates that offer, say, a 5 or 7 or 10-year term. They're fixed for that time frame, and they do fit the borrower's needs. And some people do like doing them, so those are available to you as well. FHA is the most popular loan that's available out there. It is government insured. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer like most people think. 3.5% down payment required. They do have renovation options. So if you're looking at a home that needs fixing up, there are rehabilitation loans that are available. And yes, we do offer them. You can get gift funds for 100% of the transaction. There generally are no reserve requirements, meaning you do not have to have any additional money other than your down payment and closing. And a minimum credit score of 620 is required on most programs. However, FHA can go as low as 500 with 10% down, and as low as 580 with 3.5%. VA, it's for military, veteran, and spouse. It does offer 100% financing. You do not have to be a first-time home buyer, and there is no monthly PMI. Also, there are no loan limits on VA. That went away about 1.5 years ago. So if you have a veteran who wants to buy a house in Brookside for $1.5 million, they can get 100% financing on that with really good credit. So that is an option. So VA is definitely come up, I would say, over the years in terms of its flexibility and in terms of what it grants its veterans. USDA. Now, USDA is very limited on its uses. It's generally, the rule of thumb originally was for locales that are 25,000 people in population or lower. So places like Stockton aren't eligible, but a place like Escalon is. So USDA is something we do offer internally. We don't do a ton of them, of course, but if you go east of Stockton and start going up the foothills, most of those areas like Sonora, Angels Camp, all those places are USDA eligible. 100% gifts are allowed. 620 credit score, generally, you can go as low as 620 on USDA or even 600 in some cases. There are income limits that apply, so make sure that if your client does want to do USDA, that we run their scenario in our system, we run their income, we make sure that they're eligible, because if they make too much money, they can't use it. So now, down payment assistance programs, we offer a lot of them. Now, some of them are location based. AC Boost, for example, is in Alameda. House Keys is in different cities throughout California. However, The most popular one is Cal HFA. That's the one that I'm certified in 7 counties, and we do a lot of Cal HFA in our office. GSFA, I'd say, is the second most popular. It offers 2 different programs. It offers GSFA Platinum and GSFA Golden Opportunities. The Golden Opportunities is popular because it offers higher debt to income ratio limits, for example. And Smart Buy, that is another program that we offer. It has some flexibility too, but you can also see we're in various counties. City of San Francisco, if you have clients there. People that live in Santa Clara County, they can utilize Silicon Valley Trust. And we are also in other areas in Southern California as well. Now, the Smart Buy DPA. This is our newest down payment assistance program that we just found out we had last week. So we're actually really excited about it. And the one reason we are excited is because it offers a forgivable option. So if your client stays in the loan for 5 years, the down payment assistance is totally forgiven. There is 0 payment on it, and there is no interest accrued. So if, for example, they decide they want to refinance after the 2nd year, yes, they will have to pay the assistance back, but it does not accrue any interest, and they'll never have to make a payment on it. So, that's kind of a good thing if they do decide to pay it off early. The minimum FICO is 620. There are no income limits on this. You do not have to be a first-time home buyer. It goes 1 to 2 units. So yes, if you have a client that wants to buy a duplex and live on the other side, they can totally do it with this program as well. So this is our newest program. We have priced it out. The rates aren't too bad. They're in the high 6s and low 7s, depending on where the pricing model is. And the one benefit of this program that I do like is that it, excuse me, especially with your borrowers who really don't have a lot of money, it allows us the flexibility to price the loan out to where we can offer, reduced points or even no points in some cases. So, Cal HFA, GSFA, mostly all your other programs have some sort of points that are mandated or associated with it. This program gives us the flexibility to, to give you a rate scale that can lower the points and lower the fees for your client. So that's really good. And then it also has a repayable option. It's a 30 due in 10, so the payments are stretched out over 30 years. It is a second lien. The rate on the second is 9.99%, and there is a monthly payment on it as well. I can tell you that with the repayable option, it will allow you to do a high balance loan. So if you have clients in the Bay Area and they're buying say an $850,000 loan in Brentwood, they can totally use this program and get 100% financing. And they don't have to be first-time homeowners. And they do offer closing cost assistance. Again, with the 5% assistance, you'll get 1.5% closing cost assistance, which will help your borrowers with their out-of-pocket. Minimum FICO on this program, the repayable option, is 660. And again, there's no first-time homebuyer requirement. There's no income limit. 1 to 2 units. Manufactured homes are allowed as well, and including approved condominiums. So they do have to be approved by FHA, but condos are also allowed. Our other program that we can offer and that we can help people with, especially with marginal buyers or people that let's say they just started their job 2 months ago and they were out of work for 5 years. They're a contractor, they do 1099 work, or say they do music and that's how they make their money. The link loan is available to help people with those needs, okay? Again, if you have trouble qualifying for traditional financing, if you're self-employed for less than 2 years, there's a lot of people who are truck drivers and they went from driving truck for JB Hunt and they just got their own rig, sometime last year. College graduate with a lot of student loan debt. They don't look at the student loan debt. It's all not accounted for in this loan, and I-10 and DACA. So that's huge, especially if you have people who, don't have a lot of money or, a lot of Hispanic borrowers, no disrespect, me being one, they don't trust, they don't like to put their money in banks. It's sitting in a mattress at home. So, having the ability to do this loan helps them. The link loan requires a 3.5% down payment only. So if the borrower has 3.5% down, they can qualify for this loan. Now, qualifying for a loan. So, some of you who may not know the process very well, we want to talk about the ability and how you do so. So, qualifying for a loan, number one is credit. You have to have the willingness to repay, and show a history of being able to repay your debts. Income and employment, ability to repay. Yes, we want to see your income history. We want to know what you're currently making, what you've made. Do you get overtime? Things like that. All this stuff plays a factor into how we calculate your income. Assets. Now, assets are huge, especially when you're dealing with, say, owning multiple properties, credit maybe not being very great, or, you're doing a jumbo loan. Having access to, your savings, having access to your 401k, having a Robinhood account, gift funds from family members, all these help in terms of assets. And property appraisal, the valuation of your property is very important as well. Now, people often ask, well, how is my FICO derived? So these are the factors on how the FICO score is driven. 35% of it's based on your payment history, 30% of it's based on your amount owed, 15% of it's based on your length of credit, and 20% is in use and new credit. So what we try to advise people is, if you have a card, or if you're a new credit user and you're new to credit, you want to get a card where something that you can manage a few $100s a month and try to pay it off every month. One of the things I do know that FICO calculation does like to see your credit usage. When we look at credit reports, there is a note on there that says DLA, which is date of last activity. So if the bureaus can see that you've actively used your credit, but you're managing it by paying it off every month, that will definitely help boost your score. Paying your bills on time, of course, is a given. Okay. Obviously, if you pay your bills on time, your credit score is generally going to be very, very good. The amount owed plays a huge factor on it. I can tell you that we often analyze credit, and we do credit analysis for people. Say they have 10 credit cards and they're all maxed out. We'll go in and run the calculator, and after they pay all those credit card debts off, say they're doing a cash out refinance, for example, their credit score is at 660. Once they go in, pay those 10 debts off that are all over or near the credit limit, their score jumps to 760. So keeping your balances 30% below the maximum credit amount will help your score increase. One thing you can also do to help your credit score is you can also ask for credit increases. So say you have a balance of $5,000 on your Chase account, and you're currently at a $10,000 credit limit. Well, you can go and ask Chase for a credit line increase and say they increase you to $20,000. Well, guess what? That credit line increase drops your usage from 50% to 25%, which will also help boost your credit score. So that's one trick that we've learned over the years is, one way to boost your credit score without necessarily having to pay down debt, try to get a credit increase limit on your credit. And in use new credit, I will tell you that when you get a mortgage or buy a car or get a new credit card, your score just generally tends to drop anywhere from 10 to 20 points. That's natural. Don't freak out. Nothing bad has happened. It's just common when you open new accounts. But as time goes on and you pay that bill on time, you'll see your credit score start to increase every month. And if you are a person who has challenged credit, or if you have clients who have challenged credit, one of the things we always tell people, one of the things we hear a lot from clients is, well, I'm working on my credit. Okay. And let's say I want to be like, a smart aleck and say, okay, well, are you a credit expert? And honestly, that's what you want to say in a sense, because, what we found over the years is that a lot of people have spent a lot of money for nothing. People say, well, I'm working on it. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing to improve your credit score? Like, you tell me, like, I like to hear it. And they'll say, oh, well, I just paid off a bunch of collections. Okay, well, in many cases, paying your collections is absolutely zero to improve your score. So we always recommend that whether it's talking to us or talking to another mortgage professional, just have a mortgage professional run your credit. Pay the $45, $50 fee, whatever it is, to have your credit ran and have it analyzed. But have someone like us do it and tell you how to do things the right way. I can't tell you how many people that we've saved, thousands of dollars just by running their credit and telling them, don't pay this, don't pay that, pay this and pay that instead. And they're like, oh my God, they're going to pay that medical bill off for like $4,000. And guess what? Doing an FHA loan, that medical bill counts zero against your profile. So, talk to one of us before you really start to spend money working on your credit. Some credit repair works, some of them don't, but at least spending $50 with us isn't going to cost you that much to help you monitor and put you in the right direction and get you on the right path to get your score high enough to be able to purchase a home. Okay. Now, on most programs, qualifying for a loan, 600 is the minimum credit requirement. Okay. Now, there are some that have higher limits, and depending on the program, you have to be at a 620 or 640. Ideally, we tell people, you want to be at a 640 or higher to qualify for most of the programs that are offered out there. No open judgment for tax liens. So I will tell you that on the credit reports, these do still pop up. So if you do have a judgment or have a tax lien, you can still purchase a home, but you just have to show a payment history in order to do so in many cases. And one open and active credit line in the last 12 months. Yes. So one of the reasons why people have no credit is because they don't have any open trades. So there's somebody sitting here who had a relative that referred to me and he didn't have credit. And he went and got a credit card, and 2 months later, his score was 680, and he was able to obtain Cal HFA financing. So don't let the fact that you don't have a credit score or your clients have a credit score deter you. Again, talk to one of us. Let us run it. Let us see what we can do to help you bridge that gap so you can get a score or you can improve your score. Because trust me, in a lot of cases, you can get there sooner rather than later. And specific waiting periods for derogatory events, things like a foreclosure, short sale, of bankruptcy. Yes, there are timelines that will mandate you to wait. And on the next slide, it'll show, the different types of financing options. It tells you how long you have to wait. Chapter 7 bankruptcy, for example, on government loans is 2 years. So 2 years from your discharge date is when you can purchase a home. Chapter 13, it's 1 year. If the payments were made on time, then you only have to wait 1 year. So people think that, these events are like, oh my God, I have to file bankruptcy, I'm never going to buy a house. And that's not true. The main thing we will tell you is this, though: after you file bankruptcy, go and get new credit. Okay. Start rebuilding your credit as soon as you can. I personally had to file bankruptcy 16 years ago. The first thing I did after it was over was apply for 2 credit cards, and I still have those credit cards today. But that helped me get on the right path to rebuilding my credit. So if you do file bankruptcy, you definitely want to go and open new credit to try to rebuild it as soon as you can, especially if your intent is on buying a home. Okay. Now, here's some scenarios on how different things affect your credit score. Like maxing out your credit card. See how much it drops your score: 10 to 20 points if your score is 680, 25 to 45 if your score is 780. A 30-day late payment. Just one 30-day late payment. That's not paying your Victoria's Secret bill on time, for example. Okay. Look what it does to your credit score. So trust me when I say paying your bills every month is important. Do yourself a favor. Okay. You get paid twice a month. Take 15 minutes to check all your accounts. Okay. Every credit bill you have, every credit account that you know of, just log in. Mostly everybody has, either logins by phone or logins by computer. Just check it to make sure a payment's not due. Okay. Just make it a practice to do that every time you get paid, because sometimes you may think that you paid something off and there's a small balance left over. Or, yeah, I paid my Macy's card off last month, but what happened was you accrued interest for 15 days from the date the cycle started till the date you paid it off, and you have a $6 interest charge on there. Well, if you don't pay that $6 in a timely fashion, guess what? There goes your credit score. So do yourself a favor and make it a practice. Every time you get paid, check all your accounts. Okay. Now, credit improvement. What are some things you can do to improve your credit? Well, you can review your report annually. There are websites that'll give you a free credit report that you can review that. Or, again, you can get a report from us, and we can send that over to you as well. Pay your bills on time. Of course, it's very important. Even your medical bills. Collections do hurt your credit score, so do not ignore your medical bills. Do not ignore anything that's past due. Old Comcast accounts, I will tell you, Comcast hurts big time when you get a Comcast collection on your credit score. It really does. So just make sure that anything you close out, just always go back and double check it. Make sure it's paid. If not, make payment arrangements. Most of the creditors will allow you to do so if you can't pay it in full. But just make sure you get those things paid on time. Again, about your revolving credit balances, you want to keep them under 30%. 10 to 20% is optimal. I will tell you that when we do credit rescores on people, sometimes even a $10 balance is a higher score than a zero balance. So keep that in mind. And keep a good mix of credit. So revolving and installments. So, people have came to us and we noticed, certain trends. Some people don't like credit cards, but they'll go out and get, like a loan me loan or opportune progresso loan, and they'll have all these installment loans. And they're like, well, my credit's really good. But the fact that they don't have any revolving credit to balance their credit out, their score is only like 640 or 650. So having a good mix of credit is important. Ideally, you want to have at least a couple credit cards. You want to give yourself that opportunity to build your credit up that way. Having a car loan, that's okay. Ideally, when you're trying to buy a house, you want to buy the house first before you buy the car, trust me. But always try to at least have a couple credit cards that you can use and that you can pay and that you can manage, okay? It's very important taking care of your credit because can't tell you how many times having a credit has saved not only myself, but a bunch of people I know. So paying your bills on time is extremely important. Don't go to Starbucks, pay your credit card. Don't go to the bar after work, pay your credit card. Don't close unused accounts. So one misconception that people do is that they pay their bills off and they close them. Well, when you do, you lower the amount of open trade lines in which your FICO is derived from. So it is important to keep even your unused accounts open because that gives you a bigger pool in which to draw your FICO from. So if installment loans, when you pay your car off, you can't control that. That's going to close automatically. But in terms of like your credit cards, especially ones that don't have an annual fee, keep them open if you can. And minimize inquiries by applying for credit only when necessary. Okay. Now, a lot of times we do a soft pull. So even if we run your credit, it won't hurt you because we'll do a soft pull initially. But going out and shopping for a car, yeah, that can ding your credit definitely. Or trying to apply for a bunch of different cards during Christmas, yeah, that's going to have an adverse effect on your score. So be very choosy on how you get your credit ran and make sure it's something that is more out of necessity than out of novelty. And if shopping for a loan or mortgage, focus on the 2-week period. I can tell you that I have seen credit scores change from week to week. Or, you run somebody's credit on the 31st and it's 620. You run it on the 2nd, excuse me, and it's 650. Because it's so hard to predict when the reporting times from each creditor is that credit scores are constantly changing. It can even change from one day to the next. So, just be careful, and you want to try to have a focused time frame on getting your credit ran if you're looking, if you're getting, quotes from various lenders, for example, or your clients are. Try to have them do it in a concentrated time frame. And of course, use your credit sparingly and wisely. If you can pay for it by cash, definitely do so. But if you're also disciplined enough to pay your bills off and you want to get the points, say you have a Southwest card and you like getting the points because you like traveling to San Diego to see your grandmother, then definitely use your Southwest card, but try to make sure and pay it within a day or two. All right, now let's talk about how we qualify for a loan. This is fun. Honestly, I could probably spend an hour on this because there's so many different scenarios for this, but we'll try to keep it as simple as possible. 2 years of employment are required. Same line of work is preferred, but not required. Now, I always tell people, if you have any type of job change in the last couple of years, give us a call, talk to us about it. Tell us how you changed, tell us what type of work it is. Let us figure out the scenario for you to tell you if you can still qualify or not. In many cases, even if you change jobs twice in the last 2-year period, you can qualify for a home. What really hurts you when it comes to employment and job history is job gaps, okay? So any job gap over 6 months, you're generally going to have to wait another 6 months on your new job before you can finance for a home. So, make sure that if you're talking to a client or if you are a client, And you tell your loan officer all the details about your job history. If you're talking to a client, try to, make sure that when they're talking to someone like us, they give us all the details. We even have people send us their resumes because some people can't keep track of how many jobs they've worked. So literally, you can ask some people in our office. We just said, okay, well, just send us your resume. You have a resume, right? Yeah. Okay, send it to us. That has your job history, right? Yeah. It's amazing how people can keep their job history on a resume, but they can't give it to you on a loan application. But hey, it works too. Um, many times schooling may count as job history. So even if somebody worked at McDonald's in high school for 2 years and they're 19 years old and they just got their first job and they've been at their job a year, we can count their schooling as job history. I can tell you from personal experience that I've helped many people from the U of T School of Pharmacy. The day they got their offer letter with their salary as a pharmacist, we're able to count that income and get them into a home within 30 to 45 days. So schooling does count. We do include it. And even if your client or you didn't finish school, the fact that you were going to school maybe to be a nurse and you stop because you have to work because you have a life circumstance, that nursing experience in school is definitely going to help you. Okay. Commission, overtime, bonus income. There are some exceptions to this rule, but generally we want to have a 2-year history. We are very specific when we deal with people that have overtime, commission, bonuses, RSUs, per diems, any type of varying pay on a pay stub. We generally ask for more information because we want to see a history of it. There are many cases where we can count this income, or there are many cases where we can find a way to count it when you can't see it on the surface. So we tend to ask for a little bit more detail in terms of people's pay history because we want to be able to, we turn over every rock, in this case, every dollar we can to help people qualify for the home they want. And again, job gaps, they're okay on a case-by-case basis, but generally the rule of thumb is anything over 6 months is kind of no bueno. But again, talk to us about the job gaps. And if we can fill them in, we can still make the deal work for you. Self-employment. Yeah, self-employment is very tricky now. I feel really bad for people who are self-employed because you go into business for yourself because A, you believe in yourself, and B, you want financial freedom to be able to be a business owner. You're able to write off a lot and you're able to expense a lot, which is great. It lowers your tax basis. Obviously don't have to pay much in taxes. But the flip side of that is by also showing a bunch of expenses and writing a bunch of stuff off, it also lowers your overall net profit that we can count when qualifying for a home. So we generally always, when you have a self-employed borrower, if you are a self-employed borrower, we generally always ask before you even apply to send us a copy of your taxes. We want to know what we're working with in terms of income, and we want to be able to help navigate which way your transaction is going to go. Now, I'm not saying that you can't buy a house if you only show $20,000 in your net profit. I'm not saying that at all, because there are other programs that can help, and there are loans out there designed for self-employed borrowers. Okay, but I will tell you that self-employed borrowers do have more challenges than people who are on a W-2. Okay, so we will need business returns. If you are part ownership, if you have multiple ownerships of different companies, we'll need all those returns. So, it can be tricky, but we definitely need everything in terms of your income. Business license or permits for 2 years, that's generally required. However, there are other means of us proving that you've been in business for that time, like Facebook, Instagram, things like that. Now, this is very important because debt to income ratio is really what drives your purchase price and affordability. Okay, so this illustration here shows you how we calculate our debt to income ratio. It's payments divided by your income. So you can see here, Mr. and Mrs. Smith make $120,000 a year. They have a $700 car payment. Their sales price is $350,000. The loan amount is $332,500. Down payment, interest rate. So the model shows you the breakdown of their principal and interest of $2,102. Their taxes based at $292. Their insurance, that is homeowners insurance, mind you, $62. The PMI or private mortgage insurance of $163 for a total principal and interest tax insurance payment of $2,619, which is 26.9% of their income. So that's their front end debt ratio. Okay, that is their payment ratio. Throw in the car payment, and it gives them a total debt of $3,319, which is their back end / total debt to income ratio. So as you can see, their front end housing expense is 26% and their back end ratio is 33%. Now, Each loan product has its own parameters in which these guidelines are generated. For example, USDA generally, they want a 31% housing ratio, 43% back end. FHA, the maximum front end housing ratio is 46.99% with a back end ratio of 56.99%. Conventional, you can go as high as 49.99% over 49.99% front end and back end, as long as you have really good credit and you're putting at least 5% down in most cases, and you have reserve. And VA, again, if you're a retired veteran, I've seen VA approvals go up to about 66% debt income ratio. So debts are very, very important, and having a high debt load does affect your buying power. So, there are a lot of times where we have people pay loans off when they buy a house. It's not uncommon for us to have people, pay off, 2 or 3 small credit cards to qualify for a home. Or say, when we got into contract, we approved the buyers for a certain amount, but the selling agent didn't disclose that there was a flood insurance policy. So we discover there's flood in the property, and hey, our debt ratio's kind of out of whack. So sometimes they got to pay a couple debts off to make it work. But debt ratio is a driving indicator of a buyer's qualification. So these are the general rules of thumb. We know that we know what the ratios are. I do. Doing this a long time, generally we know that people have compromised credit scores on an FHA loan, for example. If their score is 580, their maximum debt ratio is going to be around 43 to 45%. But if it's 640, they're going to be able to go up to probably 56.99%. So, analyzing people's credit, seeing if we can improve it, because, maybe they need that house at 500. So they got to work on getting their credit to 640. Hey, that's what we got to do. But sometimes we got to wait, but it gets them to their goal. And qualifying for a loan, assets. Well, cash is not our friend. The worst thing in a loan transaction is cash. So if you have borrowers who are in a cash only business, it's very hard to account for it. We just tell people cash is taboo. Do not deposit in your account at all costs if you can avoid it. But we must be able to verify all funds. So for down payment, closing costs, and reserves, it's required. Now, how we verify those assets, are through your checkings, 2 months. So generally we want 2 months of your statement. So it's for checking, savings, stocks, and mutual funds. 401k loans, gifts are allowed. Okay. So remember that. Crypto can be used in some cases, but it just depends on how the calculations are ran. And your Robinhood account can be used. Your 401k accounts can be used. Your TSP, if you're a federal worker, you could use that as well. And trust funds can be used as well if you have funds sitting in your trust, if you have someone who's left money to you. Gifts. Again, gifts are allowed. We have a very specific way on how to handle gifts. So if you're getting a gift, or if you know a client that's getting a gift, the main thing we want them to not do is to put the money in their account. Okay. Talk to us first. We'll tell you how we want to get set up, because it causes a lot of work if they do it the wrong way. Okay. We try to do it the easiest way possible, so it's less intrusive for the gifter and the giftee, and for us, and for your transaction. Okay, so qualifying for a loan, your property, your appraisal must be equal to or greater than the purchase price. Now, if there are cases where the home price is 400 and the appraised value comes in at 395, does that mean you don't get your house? No, that doesn't mean the house can't be purchased still. It just means that there has to be some sort of negotiation between you and the seller to come to an agreement to continue on with the purchase. Okay. One thing, even if the house does not appraise for 400, you can still buy the house at 400,000 with an agreed to value of 395,000 if you're a buyer. You just have to bring in the $5,000 difference. So just because it doesn't come in a value doesn't mean that you lose your house. Just have to, again, either renegotiate or rework it with the seller. Property must be in good condition unless purchased as a renovation. Now, one misconception is that FHA loans are harder than conventional loans on an appraisal. That's not necessarily true. They're going to call dry rot on a conventional appraisal, just like on FHA. They're going to call smoke detectors on conventional, just like they are on FHA. There are just a small few things that FHA requires that conventional doesn't, but in most cases, they're both the same. Now, certain loans require very specific property conditions like VA, mechanical systems must be usable and safe, adequate water heating. This is also adequate heating. This is also required with FHA and with every other loan out there. Okay, you have to have an adequate heating source. Okay, VA safe water supply and sewer, adequate roofing. Yes, most loans, again, they want adequate roofing. Basements and crawl spaces. Yes, that's true. Safe access from street. It's also required. FHA and any government loan, health and safety items are required. Lot graded, aggressive exterior for all bathrooms. Handrails for all stairways. Yes, this is also required. Roof in good repair condition. That's with pretty much any loan. So again, the appraiser is going to call what they call. We cannot control appraisers. Sometimes, us as lenders get the blame. Well, why did you send that appraiser out? First of all, we don't send appraisers out. We have no contact with appraisers, and by law, we cannot determine which appraiser goes to do your inspection. Okay, it's done through a third party. So that issue is up to the appraiser. An appraiser is kind of like an artist, it's kind of like when you're looking at art. Each person has their own opinion. Well, that's an appraiser's job. He's licensed to give an opinion of value and to give a determination if the house is move-in ready or needs items to make it palatable for the loan program. So again, we do not manage that process. That's totally up to the appraiser. They're independent and we have no control over that. So our next slide talks about the loan process. First and foremost, if you're going to purchase a home or if you're going to show a client a home, you want them to have a pre-approval or at least talk to a lender. So the pre-approval process starts with permission of running your credit, for you providing certain documentation to us so we can perform our analysis and make a determination for you. After we approve you or pre-approve you or underwrite approve you, whatever the case may be, then you work with your realtor or you work with your client to find them a home. This is where the fun begins. Now, in our office, we send out an approval letter, but one thing we always ask is that we ask that you send us an address. If you're an agent, send us the address that you're going to be making an offer on. We'd like to run the taxes. We'd like to get our numbers, we just try to pinpoint them as much as possible. We give the rates of the day, but in some cases, again, there are some places like in Stockton at higher tax bases. I'll give you an example. Richmond and San Pablo, if you have clients that buy out there, they include their sewer in the payment. So their taxes, Oakland, their taxes are generally $200 higher than normal. So, we always run the properties to make sure there's no special assessments. There's nothing that can, hurt you in terms of your qualifications. And we want the buyer to know too. We want to know that, hey, just an FYI, you're buying in Lincoln Village, the water bill's included in your taxes. So don't freak out when you get your mortgage payment. It is a little bit higher because, of the water bill, but it's being taken care of. So one balances the other out. Okay, but we really try to be forthright with people about that. And it does make a difference and they are appreciative of it. Initial disclosure. So once we're in contract, once you have a purchase agreement set in place and escrow was open, we get a copy of it. We work with escrow and we send it on initial disclosures. So they'll get a loan estimate from us. Your buyers will get a loan estimate from us and it'll disclose all the fees. We set an appointment to go over everything in detail and go over it line for line if need be to explain how the process works. Now, on the loan estimate, I will tell you all the fees are disclosed. So a lot of times clients say, why are my fees so high? The seller is supposed to give me $10,000 to pay this stuff. Yes, that's true, but we still have to show all the charges. So don't be alarmed when you see all the charges on there because $10,000 credit will show on there too, and it'll all balance out in the wash. Now, once our disclosure is sent out, we have a file. The file will go to processing. We generally get an insurance quote for your clients. However, we do advise them to request a homeowner's insurance quote to us within the first week of the process. A lot of clients use who we work with, but we will work with any insurance agency at your client's preference. So as long as they communicate with us and get us what we need, they can use whoever they want for insurance. We'll also, within the first 24 to 40 hours, order our appraisal. We know that agents often do their inspections as well within the first 5 days to make sure that there's nothing wrong with the home or whatever issues there are, that they're addressed before we move forward. Underwriting. Underwriting timelines are generally 1 to 2 business days. And once the file goes through our processing queue, it's submitted for underwriting. The underwriter is a person who will approve or decline your loan. So we are very nice to our underwriters. We send them presents all the time. No, but our underwriters are great. They're very communicative with us. Again, the example we had today, I mean, they're very workable, and their job is to make loans happen and put people into homes. They don't like declining loans, definitely. So we're very proud of our underwriting team. And final approval and closing disclosure. So once all the conditions are met, once your loan's approved, we can issue out your CD. And then once we have your appraisal in and all the underwriting conditions in, we can submit it for final approval. Which, once we get final approval, guess what? Get ready to sign for your home. So when you sign for your home, you'll meet with a notary, or you'll meet at the escrow office. You'll bring in any closing funds that are due. And then within 24 hours, generally, we are able to send the funds for your loan, and you can get your home. Your loan documents, we prepare them. So your loan documents will be sent at signing. So that's what you sign. Probably takes about 30 minutes to an hour, but it has all the information you need regarding your payments, your note, your insurance, things like that. Now, when the CD is issued, most of you know this, but there's a 3-day waiting period that the borrower has to review, ask any questions before they're able to sign for their home. So this is mandated by law. We cannot get past this. So it's very imperative that when the CD goes out, you or your clients review it, ask any questions, and if they're comfortable, sign it the same day. So we do not have any delays. And finish. Ta-da! We're done. You get your keys. Yay! Everybody's happy. Do the happy dance. What's next? Okay, meet to get to a starting point. So, it just starts out with a conversation. Talk to us. If you're a client, don't be scared. The worst we're going to tell you is no, but you'd be surprised how many people we tell yes to. So communication in this business is very important. And the ability to, be open about what's going on with your finances as a client, it helps us do our jobs better. As a realtor, we just ask that, hey, include us in the communication when you make offers. When you're thinking of making offers, let us know the prices and the addresses so we can try to be as accurate as we can for you and your clients. I mean, if you're referring us a client honestly, and we're giving your client, numbers that are pretty ironclad, they're going to appreciate that. And they're going to feel more confident in you as a realtor, in the partner that you recommended them to. But like we said, before you look for a house, get approved first and start shopping for a neighborhood. Keep your loan officer in the loop always. That's very important. The one thing, I have an approval letter for you. Really? Who's the client? Okay. When was this offer rate? Yeah. We like to be prepared. And me personally, when offers are made, I like to call the listing agents myself. I like to talk about the client's qualification, let them know who I am, let them know we're here to service them. Even though they aren't our client or we're working with them on the back end, we want them to feel comfortable knowing that there are people on the other end that are going to help get their transaction closed. And of course, closing your loan, getting your keys, and enjoying your home. Questions? Well, we're always here to help, usually available by text always. But anybody in our office can assist. Like I said, I feel that we're very in tune with what we do. And we really go above and beyond for people, especially those that are really in need of our help. So, in our job, sometimes it's thankless, but, we often get those calls and tears of joy. And trust me, I've cried with clients too. Or, I've called a client on the day they're supposed to close and I go, I just need one more thing from you. And they're like, what? To tell you're a homeowner. I'm like, oh, so those are the best phone calls to make, letting people know that their dreams have come true. That their children have their own rooms in which to decorate, and just the pride that you are able to instill in people. I mean, this job is really important. We make a difference in people's lives. As loan officers, as realtors, you do too. And that's why we're so passionate about it. And that's why I will do this until I can't do this anymore. So thank you very much for your time. And I will gladly take anybody's questions in Q&A or here in the lobby, here, whoever's here. Thank you all for coming and sharing your time with us tonight. Yes.